Hey everyone, welcome back to the Land Investing Online course. In this module, we're going to go over selling your property and how to do that, where to list it, and also we're going to be talking about things like getting your drone shots, getting great marketing pictures ready for the listing. We're going to talk about using Realtor versus not using Realtor, go through in depth where to list the property, and then also one of the most important things, how to price your land. It's one of the toughest things in this module. So let's hop right into it. And like I said, the first thing we're going to talk about is getting your drone shots. And we use a website called droners.io to get these websites that you hire a local person, they go out and they get drone shots. But they don't only get drone shots, they get footage on the ground and other things that you ask them. And droners.io is the URL for this. Ron, you want to get into this?
Yeah, for sure. It's essentially like you can list a job. So we're in Hamilton County, Ohio. If we have a job for droning or we need drone pictures in Hamilton County, Ohio, we post it up, we post what we want, we post how much we're willing to pay for the job, and then you're going to get a certain amount of bids. Obviously, if you put a higher dollar amount in terms of what you're willing to pay, then you're going to get more people. But that being said, an important thing Daniel said, these are your boots on the ground. So you can get drone people to walk your property. You can get drone people to check if the property's wet, has defects. It's not a high percentage, but about 5% of the properties that we send drones to, we're going to back out for some reason that the droner brought back to us. It's not a constant thing, but it does happen.
Exactly. And that's the thing. That's why we send these droners usually about a week before closing just to get that final check. It's almost always okay, but you do want like this is a part of your due diligence. If you thought some of the property's wet, they can go there. They can get photos on the street. If there's a gate, they can make sure it's unlocked. They can do all kinds of things. So whatever came up in due diligence, you can address that with your drone shots. Let's talk about different shots that you want. So obviously here on the left, you have a parcel outline, and you always want them to get a parcel outline. So request that when you put the drone up. That's a mandatory shot. Getting different angles with the parcel outline is very important, so you can kind of see, get a good indicator. And then also when your buyer, if you don't have this square here, for example, this rectangle parcel outline, when you put that up, your sellers aren't going to know what they're buying. They're going to wonder if they're buying this to the right, how wide is it, all that different stuff. So you want pictures with parcel outlines, and the droners can do that before sending back to you. Along with that, you want a bunch of different angles from the top. But I think more importantly, it's getting ground photos because people want to know what they're walking into. Get ground photos facing the land, get it on the street both ways. Look at the access because this is a dirt road here, as you see. Sometimes with land, you'll have questionable access. So you want to see the access. Your future buyers want to see the access. The more information they can get from a listing, the better. Show a picture of the gate, show a picture of a barn. If there's a cleared out area with an old barn on it, make sure the droner goes on ground and gets photos of this. If there's an RV on it, if there's a mobile home on it, whatever it is, you want to get the most information on this posting as possible. And one way to get information on your postings is through images. So now let's talk about using a realtor versus not using a realtor, and there are pros and cons of both. But when you guys first start, some people think, oh, I'm throwing away 10% of my money. It's not necessarily the money thing with the pros and cons. It is a little bit, but it's more about the other reasons we're going to get into. Ron, you want to list off some pros and cons of using it? Start with the pros.
Yeah, so definitely a realtor knows the area. Like we are doing this remotely. We buy properties 3,000, 4,000 miles away. It's easier for a realtor, a local realtor, if they know what they're doing in land, to sell a property than you. Some of them have really, really solid buyers list, and they might already have some buyers in mind before they even list the property and start getting phone calls. That's a huge advantage. And then getting into some negatives, like Daniel said, like you are giving some money away in terms of that, but it's not really giving money away if you have the right person. And then the other negatives are like some realtors are really slow. Some realtors do not perform. Some realtors do not know land very well. So the due diligence on the realtor aspect is really important because they are going to lock you in for a 6 or 12 month contract. And if they're not doing their job properly, it can really delay the amount of time for flipping your money.
Exactly. And that's why in the first module, we talked about this a little bit, Ron, on how to hire realtors. And what you want to do, you want to get all the good land realtors in the area. You can do that by going to Zillow.com, look at good quality land postings that sold in a reasonable amount of time. And then you can go into the realtor and see who listed it and all that stuff. And then you can call them. You can go to land.com and see who's sponsored. They have good sponsored people that pay money to be sponsored on their site for their listings to sell quicker. You can look at the good postings on landwatch.com. That's a part of the land.com network. We're going to get into that in a moment. But You want to compile a list of, I think, at least 8 to 10 in every single area. Call all of them, have written out questions for them, give them some homework to do, ask them what they think it's worth, all of that good stuff. What's their opinion on the area, the price, and you want to also get expectations, like how long is it going to take you to list this property? Is it going to take 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks? Some you'll be surprised. Some will say they can't get it listed for 3, 4 weeks. So you want to make sure to get that listed as quick as you can. Ideally, you get it listed about the day after, within the week of using that or of closing the property. So you get it up, you start getting leads in. That can be hard with realtors. So you want to get, that's one of the most important questions to ask them, is set expectations for that. Oh, the other pro that they do is they list it on the MLS for you. There are alternatives to this, but getting on the MLS gets you on the local feed. So if somebody was looking for a piece of land, 20 acres in an area, and they're using a realtor on the buy side, they'll get connected with the local feed, the local MLS feed, and get shot all the properties that fit their criteria. If you're not on the local MLS, they won't get those properties. Therefore, you lose out on a lot of good leads. So one thing that the realtors do is they get you on the local MLS. There are other ways to do this, like we're going to talk about right now, but it's very simple when a realtor does it because they have the direct access to it instead of going around through third parties like we do.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about where to actually list the property. Obviously, guys, this is going to change if you guys are using a realtor or not. If you guys are using a realtor, make sure to ask them if they're on the land.com network. That is a must, especially in these big acreages. Land.com, every good land realtor should be listed there. The MLS, you got to get listed on the MLS. If you're using a realtor, they'll do that for you. If not, we have the next slide. We're going to talk about it. And then Facebook Marketplace. Ron, you want to talk on Facebook Marketplace? This is really underestimated, I believe.
Yeah, we sell a ton of land, believe it or not, whether it's $50,000, $30,000 on Facebook Marketplace. What you want to do with Facebook Marketplace is make sure you're posting in the correct local area on Facebook Marketplace. So if you're located in Columbus, Ohio, but you're buying or selling land in Atlanta, Georgia, make sure that you are local to Atlanta when you post up the property. Another thing is join local buy and sell groups in the area you're trying to sell land. People are going to message you about it from those groups. You will sell properties from these buy and sell groups. Join those buy and sell groups. They're very valuable. They're very good. They're free. That's the one thing I like about Facebook. It is a free marketplace for people to do deals. So definitely listing there. Craigslist as well, Dan.
Yeah, and write up a good description when you're listing there one time. Use ChatGPT, tell them where the property is, tell them what the attributes are, and write up a quick paragraph or 2 paragraphs on the land, on the attributes. You want a good description there with as much information as possible, because if you don't include certain information, you're going to be getting phone calls asking the same exact questions. And when you have that happen over and over again, and you're getting asked the same question on a property, that means, hey, let's go back to that description and update it so we can limit some of these calls and limit some of the work that you're doing on the front end. The more information in a posting, the better. You want to throw it all out there. And so make sure just get one description and then use the same description across all other platforms like MLS and land.com. Copy and paste the description. Same thing with your pictures. Use 6 pictures. Is that how many we use? 6, 8 pictures, Ron?
6 to 8 is always good, yeah.
Use 6 to 8 pictures, get some ground shots in there, get some aerial footage, get some of the barn attributes on the property, whatever. If there's a creek on the property, get the creek in there. The best pictures, like, make your posting look as good as possible. Think of future buyers. What do they want to see? Think of if you were looking for a property right now. Do you want to see a satellite picture of a parcel outline on the page? No. What's going to get your attention is that waterfall in the back of it. Beautifully shot, edited, looks great. Boom, that's going to get your attention. So you want to think of it from the buyer's perspective and everything that we do from this standpoint. You want to talk about flat rate brokers, Ron, and what it is?
Yeah, so flat rate brokers are essentially brokerages. They're sites that will get you on local MLSs without being represented by a realtor. So if you're being represented by a realtor, they're going to take 6%. They're going to get you listed on the site, 6 to 10%, whatever it is. If you have a flat rate broker, they're going to charge you $99, $199 up front, and they're going to get you on those local sites. You're not represented by them. You will be dealing with all the leads, but this is a way to get your property in front of all those MLS buyers like Daniel was talking about without actually hiring representation. This is a site, List with Freedom, Homecoin, Daniel had in here. You want to type onto Google if you're in an area, Atlanta, Georgia, flat rate brokers, and you're going to get a bunch of information. You're going to get a bunch of different sites. Homecoin, List with Freedom are two huge ones. List with Freedom, I believe, is nationwide. Homecoin is in a good amount of markets. But that is an option. If you don't have a good realtor option, getting on the MLS, you always want to get on the MLS no matter what. So this is a good alternative if you do not want to hire a realtor.
And you'll see if you're not hiring a realtor, we probably 50-50 right now on realtors versus not realtors, maybe even more than that on not using them. So we are very experienced with not using realtors. And one thing you'll notice is the first time you do this, it's kind of a pain. It's always a pain, but getting it actually posted can be a little bit of a pain point because they need a lot of information about your company, about the listing, about, they might need the deed from you because you just closed on it. They need a lot of different information, and you go back and forth with them for a while. And that's why listing with a realtor can really speed up this process. Another thing we didn't really talk about was what the MLS feed is. I know I talked about getting it on the MLS, and the locals that have that search criteria are going to be sent that. But this also gets you on Zillow.com, Redfin.com, Realtor.com, all of those hundreds of MLS feed sites where buyers are going and looking at. You'll be on the top there. If someone types in Hamilton County, Ohio, and they're looking for land, your posting can go to the top there and people will get a lot of views on it. So that's why it's so crucial. The more with posting these guys, the more eyes that you get, the better. I know there's certain, like Facebook's going to get less quality, quote unquote, quality leads than land.com because land.com is very, very serious buyers on there. But you want the more eyes, people share it, people send it around. The more eyes with marketing, the better. So just keep that in mind. The more, the better when you guys are going through this. And then next, price to sell. So you can really kill your listing if you overprice it. Underpricing is always better than overpricing. You'll get blown up and know right away, but that's better than overpricing and getting very little leads. Sometimes when you underprice, you'll price it correctly. You'll get multiple offers. You'll get a hot listing, and you can get above asking price even at times offers if you're priced right. You don't want to come out of the gate too hot and list your property for 20-30% more than what it's worth, because then that's going to be stagnant. It's not going to get attention. It's going to die, and you're not going to have momentum out of the gates. Ron can touch more on this.
Yeah, for sure. And Dan was going to show you in an area in Tennessee, like analyze what your listing is doing for the first 3-5 days. When you're on the MLS, you analyze on Zillow. How many saves does it have? How many views does it have? How many calls am I getting? Like, that's a big thing. Am I getting people on Facebook who are very interested? If you're not, you're probably overpriced. I don't want you being too trigger happy and dropping the price by 30% right away. But you need to get a feel those first. If you don't sell your property or under contract on your property in the first 14 days, a lot of times those sit a couple months. And like there's a weird dead period between like 2 weeks and 6 weeks where you just don't get much. And then you need to drop your price, and you're just delaying the process of flipping your money.
Exactly. So let's jump into two I have pulled up here. I'm going to pull them both up. And this is in Paris, Tennessee, which is in, what county is that, Ron?
I believe that's Henry.
So we're around Henry, Tennessee, something around that. But here's a posting, and I want to analyze this just from, a marketing perspective. Ron, what's the first thing that you notice here?
The handwriting or the screenwriting on there.
Yes, this is extremely
screenshot.
I don't want to say unprofessional, but it's just not pretty. This is their, like when you type in this county, Paris, Tennessee, or this city, this is the first one that comes up, and look at that. Is that ever going to catch your eye? It's just not a good posting from the marketing perspective. They do have two other pictures on the ground, which are good, but they need more aerial shots. They can enhance these pictures. We use Box Brownie?
Box Brownie is very good for enhancing pictures, yes.
Yeah, you can use boxbrownie.com and put your pictures up to there, and they'll spit it out. If it's a gray day, it'll look like a sunny day. It really amplifies pictures in the marketing. But this is just a D-F type of main picture, and they only have 3 pictures as well. Let's talk about the time on Zillow, 10 days, 105 views, and 5 saves.
Yeah, so based on that, guys, you want to get, especially those first 5 to 7 days, you should be getting 2 to 3 to 5 saves every single day. So you should be by 10 days, you should be at 25 saves if you're going to sell for what you're asking for. This property, it's hard to know because it's marketed so poorly. Like maybe their list price is correct, but their marketing's just bad and no one's clicking in, no one's saving it. It doesn't give the end buyer a good picture on what they can do with this land. Their first picture has the entire land blued out, so we can't even see the quality of the land. Um, but that being said, saves and views, Dan, you should be getting probably about 100 views a day or so, and about 3 to 5 saves for the first week or two.
If marketed correctly. And that's what
If
I'm
you are
curious to see.
correctly marketing and its price to
I
sell, price
I
to sell.
I bet you, knowing this area, like if this was a beautiful picture and they had better pictures and descriptions and everything looked really good with this, this could be a double or triple the amount of saves right here, I believe.
It would be 12 to 14, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and that's crazy because that's like literally we can judge when something's going to sell in this business by the amount of views and saves. Saves especially, like this is such a key indicator because you want to look at saves and how long it's been listed. And I'm going to take you to another one just right down the road from here. It's doing a little bit better. It's a better looking listing. Ron, what do you think about this?
It's good. I mean, I think what catches my eye, Dan, like I think the first picture is great. Like if that's what you want to do, it's farmland or flat, whatever you want to call it, type of land. The first three, like the first
They're all the
six
same.
pictures, 5, 6 pictures look absolutely identical,
Identical.
just from different angles. So no drone. That's what bothers me with this posting. There's no drone.
Right.
There's no. I guess the last picture is an outline, so you can kind of see. Ton of road frontage. Very nice land. Like this
Beautiful
land with a
land.
drone. Imagine the beauty of that, Dan.
Yeah, they could have done much better on the marketing perspective. What about the days on Zillow and the saves?
This one's much better. I would expect a little more views, to be 100% honest. I think my guess, like this one isn't marketed, like it might be a B minus marketing. My guess is this one's probably 15 to 20% overpriced. So 23 days, you're going to want 40 saves or so. It's going to slow down. Like I said, first 5 to 7 days, you're going to get 3 to 5 saves. You want 3 to 5 saves. And then it's going to slow down a little bit. They're at 23 days. I believe they're probably their sale price. I don't know this market too well, but I'm guessing it needs to be around like 199, maybe 189, something like that for it to sell quickly.
Yep, and I'm going to take you guys to a piece of land that is very hot, marketed correctly, and let's try to find it and see what the saves look like. Ron, I think this is one right here.
That's 1 hour, 7 saves.
Yep, so let's go into this. Look at this first picture. Like that is nice. They box brownied this for sure. They enhanced this picture. Look at the clouds, the water
Sun
behind
coming
it,
through the clouds.
sun coming through the clouds, picture of the road frontage right here. Woods. This is what I'm talking about. Like it might not look good to the naked eye, this picture, but having pictures on the ground in your property is very beneficial to the future seller. They are very interested on what it actually looks like in that land because from above it just looks like this. They're like, what does it actually look like in there? And they have that. So they're good pictures to have. They got the creek. This is an A+ listing in my mind.
Yeah, this is the only thing they're missing, Dan, which I might say it's an A, is they're missing an aerial outlined picture. Because we have no clue what the outline of the land is. I would honestly say A- to B+ because of that. Like that is a big missing. Like, and someone who's looking on Zillow, like, what am I buying? I understand. Like, I understand they got all the different aspects, but missing the outline, I think, is very key. And if they had that, I mean, this is 1 hour and 7 saves. We're looking at 10 days and 5 saves on the other one.
Yeah, this is going to, and they've got a nice description here. Yeah, if they had an outline, this would take it to an A+ for sure. But other than that, their pictures are very good. If they just used a little outline, look at this picture here. If they just had an outline showing where the land was so we could get a better idea, that would take this to an A+. Either way, night and day from this posting to the other ones that we saw before, this is what you want. I mean, this is very, very hot. This is going to get a ton of saves over the next few days and most likely get under contract here soon just because of this coming off the bat.
That will sell for asking or above asking, 100%.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, that's how we kind of analyze that, and that's how we analyze your guys' listings. When people bring us in the Discord their listing and they want to get our opinion on it, that's exactly what we do. We look at the posting, we kind of grade it in our head, and then we look at the saves and we look at everything else, and we tell them you're underpriced, you're overpriced, your posting needs to be enhanced, whatever the situation is. That's how we go about it, Ron.
Yeah, and the last thing, guys, like when you're reviewing your posting, you want to review price last. Like if I'm reviewing a member or a student's posting, I'm not going to say drop your price right away. I'm going to look at the marketing. I'm going to ask them where they're posted. Are you posted on land.com? Are you posted on Craigslist, Facebook, MLS, all these spots? And then the last thing is like, okay, let's evaluate your price. Let's see what's going on in the market, and then we can make adjustments.
Other than that, guys, thank you guys for joining. Always take your listings very, very serious. Disposition and selling your properties is a very big part of this business. It's how you max out your profits. You can turn money into more money quicker. The name of this game is to sell your property quick, get cash, put it back in the mail, buy more properties, and do it. We look at this like inventory, so it's a huge part of the business. Other than that, guys, thank you for joining. We'll see you guys next module.
Thank you, guys.